Barcelona testing? Everyone left guessing. Bahrain? It didn't give us answers, it gave us bigger questions. Because here's what nobody's saying out loud. One team might already have a massive straight line advantage. Another looked perfect until something cracked. And the team everyone's overlooking? They might be the most dangerous of all. This wasn't about lap times. This was about who's bluffing. And by the end of this video, you'll know which team is hiding something. First, let's talk about what drivers are actually saying. Max called it Formula E on steroids. Lewis said it feels robotic. Everyone's complaining about lift and coast, weird downshifts, awkward acceleration. Sounds bad, right? But here's what the media isn't telling you. This happens every single time regulations change. Remember 2022? Drivers complained about bouncing, stiffness, unpredictability. 2 races later, nobody cared anymore. Why? Because teams were running safe modes, protecting parts, learning the limits, and Bahrain exposed something Barcelona couldn't. Barcelona was private, cold, no pressure. Bahrain, heat, wind, public times, practice starts. That's when you see who's actually ready. But the driver complaints? That's not the real story. The real story is this: where is the power actually coming from? And one team might already have the answer. If you want to know what 2026 will really change in F1, subscribe now. There's a whisper in the paddock. Red Bull Ford might have a straight line advantage, gaining tenths, maybe more. People are already comparing it to legendary partnerships, new dynasties. Now here's the reality check. Red Bull building their first in-house power unit and immediately dominating? That would be insane. But here's what is real. The unit looks stable. Integration looks clean. Both drivers sound confident. Meanwhile, Mercedes were flawless in Barcelona. Favorites, smooth, confident. Then Bahrain happened. Suspension issues, hammering in the garage, power unit change for Antonelli, lost track time. Now are these red flags? Maybe not. But here's the interesting part. Mercedes started pushing their setup earlier than everyone else. When you chase performance in week 1, you find problems. So the question becomes, are Mercedes ahead? Or are they just further into the danger zone? And this is where it gets really interesting. Because while Mercedes were fixing issues, one team was doing something completely different. Ferrari brought a baseline car, pounded laps, stayed bulletproof. Lewis Hamilton did 150 plus laps in one day. No drama, no overheating, no panic. Sounds boring, right? Wrong. They're not chasing lap time right now. They're building correlation, making sure the simulator, the wind tunnel, and the real track all match. Because when they bring their B-spec upgrade, and they will, that correlation decides if it works immediately or crashes. And here's what fans are missing. Reliability in testing isn't boring, it's dangerous, because it means the real performance hasn't been unleashed yet. But there's one team nobody wants to fully commit to. Red Bull looked composed, high mileage, strong feedback, no visible drama, but the car looks different. Bulkier side pods, less aggressive undercut, which means one of two things. They found cooling efficiency nobody else has, or they're carrying drag. And here's the problem with Bahrain. We don't know fuel loads. We don't know deployment modes. We don't know engine mapping. So when someone says 1 second faster on the straight, that's either strategy or incomplete data. Question for you. Do you think Red Bull are genuinely ahead on power? Or is this psychological positioning? Because this season might be won in the narrative before it's won on track. But that's not even the most dangerous situation we saw. McLaren didn't bring radical shapes, didn't light up timing sheets, didn't create noise. They just ran. Over 300 combined laps, long stints, energy practice, clean recovery runs. Why does this matter? When regulations shift this hard toward battery management, stability beats aggression early. McLaren don't have the biggest wind tunnel allocation. They won the championship, so they get penalized under the rules. But here's what they do have. A car that looks modular, adaptable, not extreme, which means they're not locked into one philosophy. They're leaving development doors open. While others are finding problems, McLaren are gathering data. And in a reset year, data is power. They might not look fast, but they look controlled. And control in the first 5 races is often worth more than peak speed. But McLaren aren't the only ones being quiet. If one team showed structural weakness, it was Aston Martin. New wind tunnel, new Honda partnership, own gearbox for the first time, new suspension, and designed under Adrian Newey. That's not an upgrade, that's a complete rebuild. And rebuilds don't work instantly. Reports of instability, lockups,
downshift issues. That's integration friction. And newie cars? Historically brilliant, but temperamental early. This could go two ways. One, they unlock genius by mid-season. Two, they burn 6 races just learning the basics. And in a regulation reset, 6 races is half the championship.
Alpine had maximum wind tunnel time. They barely developed last year's car. They banked resources. Now they're showing aggressive design choices. This isn't flashy, it's calculated. Cadillac? For a new team, they looked shockingly composed. Clean Ferrari power unit integration, stable running. When established teams start saying, there are interesting details on that car, that's respect. Williams missed early running but compensated fast. Audi brought the most technically intriguing car, but heat issues. Haas just ran. No drama, no chaos. So what did Bahrain actually reveal? Barcelona was controlled optimism. Bahrain was a stress test. Energy deployment problems, downshift instability, practice start issues, reliability gremlins on almost every team. That's not chaos, that's exposure. Exposure of which philosophies are strong. Exposure of which integrations are fragile. Exposure of who's bluffing. Because when we get to Australia, the engine maps turn up. Fuel loads normalize. The hiding stops. Teams that built correlation and strength will look calm. Teams that chased headlines might start scrambling. And here's the truth nobody wants to say. We still don't know who's actually ahead, but we know this. The margins will be razor thin. Energy management will decide races. And one major assumption is going to collapse in the first 3 rounds. The only question is, whose? Drop a comment. Which team do you think is hiding their true pace? And subscribe, because when that assumption collapses, you'll want to know why.